Santava, thank you so much for being here. This is a celebration of you. And this is also a celebration of the fact that so many people aspire to be in the position that you are now. And I know we'll talk about it, that how you have a problem with what we are talking about, but the fact that so many women sitting somewhere, some girl wanting to be a journalist and battling the patriarchy at home and wanting to be in your position one day, that in itself is such a dream that all of us have, and thank you for making it true. I want to, before this session, we were having a conversation and I asked Santvana, do you have a problem with being identified as a woman editor? So why not start with that?
Okay, first let me say that here we are celebrating each other. Something must have changed, Neha, that, two of us are sitting here. I edit a 30 edition paper and you are a celebrated journalist working as independently and earning accolades for yourself. So there we have achieved something, okay? So in a way we are celebrating each other and the time we live in.
That's very
As for journalism, we can see I don't know how much with the intervention of social media, it still remains a coveted job. For my generation, it was a coveted job, okay? Now everybody thinks they're a journalist. Unfortunately, I heard that in Bangalore, 3 prominent media schools have shut down because they were not getting enough students. Why are they not getting enough students? Because young people think, what's the use of doing media studies? We can get on to X-Post, Instagram, go on to YouTube and air our views and become famous opinion makers, influencers. So as my introduction, in the introduction it was said, I'm a nuts and bolts journalist, okay, of a different generation. There's not an aspect of journalism that I have not, which goes into making a newspaper or producing news that I haven't done. There is nothing actually. That is why in my multi-edition paper with over 600 people, journalists working, they're all scared because they know if I want, I can give a headline, I can write a story, I can edit a story, I can write an opinion piece, I can get news also. Okay, there is not an aspect that I cannot do. And why is that? Because we joined journalism at a time where there was no option. Okay, I am proud to say that I'm a quintessential express journalist. Quintessential journalist who felt ashamed if she had to come back to office without an exclusive, or at least a few exclusive points to the news of the day. That was the pressure we worked under. That was the challenge we took every day.
Can I interrupt you for? So in continuation with what you are talking about, because we have some young people, and not you people, but most young people are not reading news now or only looking at stories and reels. Manmohan Singh passed away yesterday, and we were talking about how busy you've been. So just for everyone, can you tell us what were your last 24 hours like as an editor of a newspaper? What all did it entail?
Yeah. I'll just begin with your last question because, and then come to what you are asking now, that why I have a problem being seen in gender terms. Okay, I am a journalist, and I have now edit a paper. I've become editor because I'm good at what I do, not because of my gender. Okay, and my gender is not my perspective. Okay, I am conscious. I'm a conscious person. I have women journalists who don't have the right perspective. I have male journalists who have better perspective. So gender is not something I would like to see my work through. Okay, now coming to your question about why gender is not. I'll explain to you with what happened. We landed at Kozhikode. The flight was already late. 15-20 minutes late, and we are out looking for the car which will bring us from Kozhikode to Wayanad. And lo and behold, I open my WhatsApp, and what do I see? Manmohan Singh has passed away. Okay, so what does that mean? He was our former Prime Minister, not just former Prime Minister, a very, very transformative figure in Indian politics and Indian polity. He changed the way we live, we function, okay, because of his economic reforms. We live I can tell you, India before economic liberalization was a different place. Today it's a different place. We dress differently, we eat differently, we live differently, we also think differently. Okay, so this was what had happened, and then what it meant was, from my early edition to my next round of city metro edition, the entire edition with all this center had to be overhauled. We needed an obituary which is fitting of Manmohan Singh. Okay, so just about everybody was trying to get somebody, either an economist or somebody union minister or somebody who had worked with him. Okay, and what I was telling Neha, and I was telling another of my former colleagues who has also come here, that she said, I didn't dare to speak to you yesterday because you look very stressed. I said, of course I was stressed, because I was screaming blue murder at everybody, because why did we not anticipate the death of Manmohan Singh and have an obituary ready? So what it entailed, when I realized that there was nothing that was coming up, so I had, as I was driving down in the dark roads, sitting behind an SUV, writing an obituary on Manmohan Singh, okay, for my paper. If you read my paper, please do, or if you are on social media, you can check it out and see what I have written. I was very happy to see that somebody has made a forward saying that, there is another magazine which is running an article with lots of phrases from what you have written. So I'm happy to share that with you. So journalism is stressful, it is challenging, and it is exciting because of that. Okay, we had to completely overhaul the edition. It's not just about the page one. It was also about another page, op-ed, in which KMC, KM Chandrasekhar, who was Manmohan Singh's cabinet secretary, he wrote. One of his Congress economists, Praveen Chakravarti, wrote. And there were reactions pouring in from all sides. Okay, so the entire paper, everything had to be reworked. And while I was driving down in absolute darkness in rain, okay, so that is what journalism is all about. You have to give it your fullest 24/7. There is no alternative to it.
Thank you for that. I wanted to ask you, so you've been a journalist for the last 3 decades. Uh, I was told that initially when a lot of women joined journalism, they were basically not allowed to cover the stories that they wanted. And I've had some people tell me that they were made to go and cover flower show and baby show and not really political stories or whatever they wanted to do. How was it for you in the last 3 decades? How did you manage to cover what you wanted to cover? Were there challenges? Did you see other women facing those challenges? Tell us something about these 3 decades.
This flower show, baby show syndrome was of a generation in the 60s and 70s. We didn't face it. By the time we came to journalism, those issues were not being covered at all. Okay? There were no flower shows, no. And I was, lucky enough to be part of inhabiting a space where I would say I was not made gender conscious. Forget about gender discrimination. I was not made to feel gender conscious. I was allowed to cover something, whether it was conflict, whether it was election, whether it was parliament, whether it was crime or politics. It's only on the merit of my performance, okay? Whether I was capable of doing that, okay? I had the depth or understanding to cover that. I had enough sources and network to be doing that. Not because whether if I was a woman, okay? And there was another, this I must say, I was young and, in the city reporting team where the nuts and bolts are fixed, crime reporter, the best crime reporter was a woman. The best or the most number of political stories were broken by me. I was a woman. Okay. Even the civic bodies were being covered by somebody. So all the stars of even Delhi reporting at that time were women. Okay. And what are the bastions? In my generation, foreign policy, I can name you N number of women journalists who have covered war. From the earlier generation, Nina Gopal, who does a podcast for us now. Nina Gopal, all Shekhar Guptas and Bharat Bhushans who have covered Gulf War and Afghan War will admit that she had the best sources because she was a reporter on the ground. And she was working with them shoulder to shoulder. After that, Barkha has covered war and became famous because she did it for television. Okay? So I don't think there was any beat that was, so whether it was defense, whether it was foreign policy, whether it was politics, election, anything and everything. I covered Hurriyat at one point of time. Hurriyat, and in those days, these were also beats because the Vajpayee government was actually talking to them. So that became a beat. So, and I've covered Kashmir. And I remember when Lone were contesting election and I had gone trailing him and it became late evening. There was no way I could come back. And if I had tried coming back, it was a risk. So how, more than the story, how I came back to Srinagar that night was a story in itself. So every point, we have faced this, but it was not to do, if it was a male journalist in my place, he would have had the same problem. Okay? So.
Thank you for that. And like you rightly said, global reports tell us that women outpopulate men in media. Somebody was telling me that they were at an award function where there were proprietors of newspapers and editors, and most of them were men. And then they started giving awards for journalism, and everybody who walked in were women, basically, reporters, like you rightly said. See, what I want to say is that there are two things here that you said. One is the fact that only 24% of the news organizations across 5 continents, so this is according to a Reuters study, tells us that there are women in leadership positions. So there are women across, and women are reporting. Reaching the leadership position is a problem. And the other thing that you mentioned is that often when women are in these professions, they are supposed to behave like a man and pretend that there is no problem. I know that this is a survival mechanism also for a lot of us. If there is no toilet on a field trip, we will figure out how to do it. If there is sexual harassment at workplace and we have to have that financial independence, somehow we will try to figure out how to survive that. There is also lots of studies that tell us that there is a gender pay gap. Now, in such a situation, you sitting where you are is a big thing. And that is why I ask you that do people accept your leadership because you're a woman, or there are barriers, or they try to not follow what you say? Have you come across such instances?
Yeah, my earlier part of it, if it was slightly glorifying of the women journalist, I must get to the real issues also. That is a very interesting thing that I faced while, till I became a editor, I was never seen in gender terms. I was seen in terms of what work I did, what story I broke. Okay. For the first time when I was appointed editor, the first social media post went in celebration of the fact that a woman has become editor of a mainstream legacy paper for the first time. And that became a viral tweet. So I was telling myself, hey, what is this? And I was a little dismayed. I was wondering, why are they seeing me in a certain category? Are they, boxing me into something? Well, then when I rolled up my sleeves and got into the job, there are 2 sets of reaction that do come. There are people who have a problem. They will not show it because it is not about gender actually. It is power. Okay. Once you have that power, people may not openly disregard you. Okay. So there was 2 kind of responses I had. There were colleagues who were saying that they were very proud to be working under a woman editor, and there were those who would object to everything that I was trying to, if not openly, surreptitiously sometimes. But that had to be tackled. Okay, I told myself, when you are named in a position, it's just a position. After that, you have to fill the chair. Okay, when they see quality coming, it is how you conduct yourself, what you give to the job, is how people will respond to it. Okay, whether you deserve to be there or not, you have to prove it. If you are able to prove it, there should be no problem then, thereafter. Then people forget. Like I always say that, political leaders, I'm from West Bengal, and we had this legendary political leader from the Congress party called Abdul Ghani Khan Chaudhary. ABA Abdul Ghani Khan Chaudhary, he was a railway minister also. He was fondly, like Jyoti Basu was called Jyoti Babu, fondly. Ghani Khan Chaudhary was called Barkatda. Okay, he was Barkatda for everybody. Okay, so nobody remembered that he was from a certain community. Okay, he became everybody's leader because he was a tall leader. Okay, to the extent that when Jyoti Babu as chief minister was asked who he was envious of as a political opponent, everybody thought he would say Indira Gandhi. Instead of Indira Gandhi, he said Barkat. Okay, so because there was a bastion in Barkatda's bastion, however much the left tried, they could not break it. Okay, and he was a legendary leader. People forgot about that. Okay, similarly, there was a CPI leader who actually is a mind and the committee member who wrote the Women's Reservation Bill report. Okay, so A.B. Bardhan of CPM once told me, we never thought of her as a woman leader. Okay, she was a leader. Okay, so that is that little hurdle you have to cross. Okay, nothing comes to you on a platter. But having said that, what are the problems that women face? I should not slight what the problems women face. And women coming into journalism from various kinds of background, what are the problems they face? They do face problems. I may not have faced it because I was lucky to be working with men who were progressive, okay, who were liberal. But safety is an issue. Representation is an issue. Perspective is an issue. It is a big issue. Women, it's not that male journalists don't have problems. They face problems, but which are also faced by women journalists. Okay? It's like, you know, I was going on I was on an election tour once. It was middle of night from Tonk. I was driving to Pushkar. Okay, Rahul Gandhi was supposed to come to Pushkar. That time he named his Gotra and all that, and there was a big controversy. Okay, so I was going to Ajmer Pushkar from Tonk. Tonk is where Sachin Pilot was contesting. Sachin is a sort of known person, and it was a very interesting contest that was happening in Tonk. So I was driving at night. So it was around 9. And suddenly the car I was driving, I asked him to stop because I needed to buy some water. So I took out some $20 from my purse and I got off the car. Okay. And I slammed the door. And then I turned back and I see the car is gone. And the car is actually driving away. I ran after it, but the driver couldn't see because he was as overworked as I was, okay? And by the time he was probably zombified, driving, non-stop. So there I was, without my phone, without my bag, in the middle of nowhere, a small chauraha with 2-3 dim lights, and a bottle of water and $10. Okay? I didn't know where to go, what to do. Okay? So then, as is expected, I'm a woman, so a little crowd slowly gathered around me. Somebody's offering me a place to sleep in some mandir. Somebody is offering me a seat under a tree. Somebody is telling me, you are from Mamata Banerjee's land. Okay, so the first time I'm getting identified as a Bengali.
Rajasthan, which I have known for so long, where the politicians to top CM to the villager, there's not a district I don't know people. I get identified as a Bengali, and then I have to organize a phone. Then the first number that comes to my mind, I dial, okay? And then I have to get hold of a mail and get hold of my office number. So it was an ordeal. By the time somebody got hold of the driver's number, it was some 2-3 hours. I didn't know what to do, where to go. So these things happen. So it could have happened to a male journalist as well, this kind of problem. But the danger is more when you are a woman, okay? So within office and outside, there is no denying, okay?
Thank you for sharing that. I have 2 more questions before we open it up to the audience. One is, you said that, it didn't, by the time you joined journalism, there was no expectation of covering flower shows, baby shows. I think I was telling you before this session that, like, when I joined journalism, I was told, because my family was more conservative, they said, women from good families don't do this. So clearly things are changing. Can you tell us, in the last 3 decades, 1 or 2 examples that tell us that it has changed for women being in this profession? Women coming to this profession, things have changed or progressed or moved on. Can you give us some examples?
Yeah. I will give you the first example because the first change that I brought in. Okay, despite women being in, covering just about everything, whether it was science and technology, whether it is space, whether it is defense, whether it is foreign policy, politics, everything. It had all opened up. Nothing remained a male bastion. There was the edit page. Okay, there was the edit page. The opinion page hardly had a woman writer. That is the change I had to bring in. Okay? That is the change. I had to introduce women who are commentators. Women who are commentators not just on health and education, but on foreign policy, on politics, on defense, on all major sectors. Okay? So that I had to do. That is about the main article of the edit page. There was hardly any women writing. Okay, so and even if they're writing, they're put as the second article. It's rarely that women get to write the top article, though I used to write a column. Even before I became editor, I used to write a fortnightly column. And nobody stopped me from writing what I wrote. Okay? But I introduced a battery of women writers, okay, whether it is from Sri Lanka, whether it is from nearer home. There were lots of women writing, and then it was the edits, unsigned edit. I can proudly tell you that in my team of edit writers now, who are shaping the idea of the paper and how we see things, there is a Ranjita Gunashekaran, brilliant writer. There is Gulnar Mirza. There are 3-4 of them who write regularly. And there is Sitara Paul, who's a DRE of a paper here. All very good writers. Okay? So it is not just, I think it was the last bastion which has fallen. Okay? Though I used to write edit, I was always seen as a rarity everywhere. I was one of a kind. But now it is not that. Now it is not that.
Thank you for that, for making those changes and giving people a voice.
To add to that, what are the changes that have happened? I think I've already answered it. In our time, flower shows and all had become out of fashion. Nobody was covering them, and there were no flower show happening except when Amitabh Bachchan had to meet Rekha in Silsila, clandestinely, that there was a flower show needed. Otherwise, there were no flower show happening that time. What women were seen to be good at covering was health and education. Those segregation used to be there. Those one by one had fallen because, as I told you, there were women who came and covered those domains and did brilliantly.
My last question is, what is the kind of systemic change that needs to be made in Indian media so that we have an army of Santvanas?
I think it has to be done consciously and it will happen organically. Like I would say that I am not a freak case. I happened because there were lots of brilliant women around me, brilliant women journalists who have not nurtured me. I have worked with two brilliant bureau chiefs, Aarti Jairat, first Neerja Chaudhary and then Aarti Jairat. Okay, then my resident editor in Delhi was Kumi Kapoor, okay, who still writes the most read gossip column till now. Okay, so these are women who have worked, and as I was telling you, we inhabited a bureau where almost everybody has become an editor, almost everybody. Okay, and there are men and women in it. Navika was my colleague. We worked in the same bureau. She was earlier only doing business news, and she was brilliant actually. She was the best telecom reporter that we ever had. Okay, she had taken a different path, that is another story. And then we had Jyoti Malhotra, who's now the Tribune editor. Okay, and then there is me. Okay, so we emerged from the same bureau. So it is women who have to come up, and you have to believe that you can reach that. And you have to have that aggressiveness. Okay, you have to. Why is Jyoti Malhotra is not just a well-known foreign policy writer. She broke the story that at the Agra summit, Musharraf Vajpayee talks had collapsed. And she was reporting while she was pregnant. Okay. So that is how it is. Okay, and we were allowed to do that. Okay, we inhabited a space and a society and a time where these things did not matter. You get my point?
I'm going to ask if there are any questions. Yeah?
Maybe in few years, I maybe become a young journalist. I need to be in the profession. So I know that our profession is so patriarchal. We need to struggle. What are the recommendations? What are the suggestions as a senior editor, senior journalist to the young journalist, the woman young journalist? How we need to survive in the industry?
You have to create your own path. There is no shortcut and there is no recommendation. And the best thing you can do is to believe in yourself. Believe in what you are doing. Okay? You have to believe in that. That is very important. That faith is very important, and you have to, because you believe in something, you fight for that, right? And it is difficult for any kind of profession anywhere. It need not be journalism alone. The challenge is everywhere. How best whether you succumb or you take the challenge head on will depend where you reach.
I think people didn't talk about the struggles the women journalists are facing. That's why, and it's too encouraging me to be in the profession. like this conversation helped me to lot. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any more questions? Sadhva, we really, really hope, like you said, that women, there is a huge support network women form for each other and we help each other. And on that note, thank you for talking us today. Thank you.